This episode is brought to you by Prime Video. In the small town of Holland, Michigan, nothing is ever what it seems. Behind the tulip festivals and pretty houses lay dark secrets that threaten to tear a marriage apart. Nicole Kidman stars in this darkly twisted thriller about a wife and mother whose quest to uncover her husband's secrets may get her more than she bargained for. Holland, streaming on Prime Video March 27th.
Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Fergal.
And we're from Movie Smash.
Comic book movies are having a golden age right now with the MCU.
Movies based on comics aren't necessarily a new thing, but they're a big thing.
Join us every other Tuesday on Movie Smash.
We explore these movies and find some hidden gems.
Every other week, we revisit some of the best.
And some of the worst movies based on comics or graphic novels.
Was Green Lantern as bad as you remember?
Heck no!
Is Time Cop the most accurate time travel movie ever created?
Absolutely.
Was Mystery Men way ahead of its time?
Should they be revisited? Should they be forgotten?
Join us on Movie Smash and find out. Listen wherever you find your fine podcasts.
Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All2 Real 2. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, is...
Sesame, America has changed since you've been gone. You were in New Guinea for 7 years, and for some reason you didn't have access to newspapers in the late 1990s in Cardiff.
Since you've been gone, I can
you've
be
been
for the first. Okay. Anyway, so we don't get sued, I'm not going to sing anymore. And
oh right, yeah, sorry.
Oh, I'm not, don't be sorry. I was the one that's singing it. So.
Yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
Today on the show, we're covering a interesting little special. So, how you feeling there, Sesame?
Pretty depressed. This movie was, I think it was the music made it super dark. Like weird keyboard shit from the 90s, like the Korg keyboard always made those ominous tones. Like in the Forgetting Sarah Marshall, the guy who had just made the weird tones for all the TV shows that his girlfriend was in. And yeah, good movie by the way. But it just was, I don't know, man. It was depressing. It was only like 20 minutes long for the actual movie itself. And then the other half was talking about real life stories that happened in America.
So yeah, the little special that we're covering today was called "What's Right with America?" Something that I think has a double entendre in a way.
Yep.
Because the word "right" can mean correct, or it also can mean right wing. So yes, yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of things right with America. Taking away rights as well. This is here's the little this was directed by this guy named Mark Cole, who has worked on the TV series The Smiley Face Killers, The Hunt for Justice. It looks like a bunch of like reality based things and a few like movies here and there, but like producer of a bunch of documentary type shows. Nothing to really sing home about. Sing up. It was written by Daniel Freudenberger, who has written for the TV series Blue Thunder and something called Hard Time on Planet Earth.
Yeah, that sounds about right now.
So yeah, there's that. And the special part of it stars Jeannie Jackson as Betsy Gordon, Dwayne Barnes as a prisoner, Daryl Britt as a SWAT team member, Timothy Busfield, who I used to be friends with on Facebook when Facebook allowed me to have a Facebook. But under the fascist states of America, I'm not allowed to have my Facebook for some reason.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sure.
great actor, great director. Ryan Merriman as Todd Gordon. Pamela Gein doesn't say what she played. Amy Daniels as Margie Gordon. Aaron Lustig as somebody, and Patrick Duffy as himself hosting the thing. I mean, Patrick Duffy from Dallas and Step by Step and other things of that nature.
I step day by day. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, good days.
Yep, better. But did you mention too? I don't know if you already mentioned him. The dude that we watched, he was in the Skateboard Kid. He's in this movie. Is that him or not?
I don't think so.
Oh,
Maybe.
okay. Okay,
No.
yeah, it's
Are
fine.
you talking about the son?
No, the dad.
Oh yeah, he was in it. Yeah, so I was saying Timothy.
That was
Buck. Yeah, that was the dad.
okay,
Yeah. When you said guy, I was thinking of the kid. When you said skateboard.
Oh no, that's all right.
No. Yeah, the dad from that. I totally forgot that Timothy Busfield was the dad in that. Yeah, Skateboard Kid, great movie. Not as good as Skateboard Kid 2, but
no, way better. No, way better. Skateboard. Don't say such blasphemies.
not as good as Munchie either.
Oh god,
a movie that has some people involved that are similar. Anyways, so the synopsis for this special, or this for the dramatic part of it, I guess you'd say, is a look at an alternate America if it were turned into a fascist or authoritarian country. Yeah, that'll never happen.
Nope.
Yeah.
What year did this come out?
This came out 1997.
So 28 years ago. Okay.
Yeah. During the I believe Bill Clinton was in office at the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is before the rigged 2000 election and other things. Yeah. So that was one of the beginnings of the downfall of this country. But anyways, so
the one actual rigged election that they didn't contest.
Yes.
Yep. Because Democrats don't have to fight anything. They're like, oh, we actually really did win the election. We'll just let the other guy take it. We don't want disunity. We want to lower the political temperature. Yeah, okay, they cheated, and we'll just let them go. We'll just let them go. Trump actually loses the re-election. No, we're gonna go commit violence. But anyway, that's two differences between the parties. Okay, go ahead.
And recently, somebody was saying that supposedly, like, a bunch of votes for Harris were missing or something was wrong on this past election, but supposedly she didn't care.
They don't give a shit. Anyway, sorry, I don't want to get into it too much. Sorry.
Anyways, initial thoughts about this here, Sesame.
Like I said before, it's depressing. It was I didn't like it because it was the ominous tone of it. So it was surreal. That's what really kind of put me on. It was very surreal. It's like a dream, almost like a really bad dream.
It's you know, at the time it was probably viewed as kind of like a like a Twilight Zone episode or something, you know. But the fact that a lot of this stuff is coming true in certain ways, maybe not as extreme as this movie, but who knows, you know?
Yeah.
And it has come true in other countries, and it had before this in other countries such as Germany and stuff. It's just like, it's kind of creepy. And the weird thing about it is you have this like dark drama followed up by these uplifting stories about people that did good things in the United States. And it gives, like, watching those made me depressed too, because it's like, oh, look at all the good things people could do in the United States before.
Right. Nowadays, it just does kill you for it, basically, or smear completely destroy your reputation or whatever. Yep.
Or kick you off of Facebook. Anyway,
kick you off. Yes, that
with
too.
No explanation.
Nope. You're correct.
And you lose 15 years of your friendships.
Yep, I know. It's hey, we're gonna get it back, buddy. If we're gonna have to like march towards California, with signs and picket signs, and then they'll probably shoot rubber bullets at us. But we're gonna get that. We're gonna get those accounts back.
I'm seriously thinking of hiring a lawyer, but
maybe.
I mean, who knows? By the time this airs, I might have it restored. Who knows? Knock on wood. I hope I do. But
so, me too. I really do hope so.
You can still visit. Speaking of social media, you can still visit our Facebook fan page if you want to.
It's still up for now.
Now I don't know how much longer. Also, I just updated our website. Check out all the links on there. There's links to our Blue Sky, which I highly recommend. That is like completely independently owned, and it's not like, broligarchly, so it's
Bro, Gargi, I love that phrase.
yeah.
I love
And
that phrase. So
yeah, we also have, other things like TikTok and Instagram, which is owned by the Zuck. And yeah, but we do not have anything owned by the fuck. I mean, Elon Musk. I'm sorry, I said his name wrong.
yeah, we don't have any X, Twitter stuff anymore. It's,
not anymore.
Yeah, it's like a big website, but it's just so.
It's not worth
nasty.
it, in my opinion. And I mean, the thing is I eventually wanted to get off of Facebook, but the fact that they didn't give me a choice in the matter is what upset me the most. The fact that I couldn't connect with people outside of it. I know it's a little diatribe, not about the movie necessarily, but the fact that I couldn't connect with people such as like I was talking to a film producer about producing a film of mine, and we were in the process of doing notes on my script and all this other stuff, and I forgot the guy's name. I know that sounds bad, but I don't know how I'm going to ever get in contact with him again, and that's just funding down the drain for my movie.
Yeah.
So, yay.
Hey.
Yes. So, if you're a film producer out there and you want to produce a coming-of-age film that takes place in the 90s, hit me up, Mike@cullenpark.com. Go to all2real2.com for everything else. Anyways, back to the movie. Yeah, so what happens in this?
So after Patrick Duffy, aka Aquaman, tells us about what's going to happen, we actually get into the drama. So it's family of four. They just came back to America from New Guinea for 7 years, and apparently they didn't have newspapers because, quote, they were in the jungle for 7 years, and no one. Okay, whatever, fine. We'll just suspend reality for that for a moment. 1997.
Right.
Okay?
Wait, he wasn't Aquaman. He was Man from Atlantis.
Sorry, Man from Atlantis. Yeah, sorry.
Basically Aquaman, but not in. But,
yeah.
For legal reasons, he couldn't be. So.
Right. And so apparently somehow they didn't have any means of. I just don't understand. It's 1997.
Well,
like what they like you're in the jungle. What, you just stayed living like in the actual jungle for 7 straight years? Like, but they don't act like it. They don't act like they've acclimated to like the lifestyle of the jungle. You think that like they'd be like a little bit more like up to speed and like how to defend themselves. They needed to, whatever. So I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, maybe they were living in some remote village where there's no newspapers or anything, and they were just because I mean they were doctors and they were helping people out. So, but my thing is, if you're there for 7 years, aren't you going to need more medical supplies? And wouldn't you have to contact somebody in some country to get the medical supplies, unless there was like this whole operation and they were just volunteers there who weren't in charge of the logistics of things? And but you think somebody there would be like, but there is a point in the short thing though where they say that they did see a newspaper and it was talking about how great America is.
Right, yeah.
This be that the propaganda machine, the American Hasbara, was going out and it was just basically making it sound like America was still good, because there's an interesting thing that there's been no reporting nationally recently, but there's certain things that have gotten through on TikTok, but even TikTok is censoring a lot of this stuff. There are countries throughout Europe and other places that are holding protests against Donald Trump and America.
Oh, wow.
Because they see him as a fascist.
Right.
And they don't like what they're seeing. And so, but you're not going to see that on the NBC Nightly News or something. So.
It's like reminds me of like literally like, these authoritarian states where they just didn't know that people in the outside world were talking about them or doing anything because they just thought like, oh, I guess nobody really thinks about us or nobody, or whatever. And
look at like North Korea right now. I mean, a lot of the media that they have is basically just media that praises, Kim Jong-un, and it doesn't really have much else, So
there's this guy on YouTube.
You're not watching reruns of The Office or anything even. So it's like, so.
No, there's this guy who accidentally hacked into a satellite that was showing North Korean television when he was trying to get somewhere else. And then like ever since then, he's just been recording whatever is on North Korean television, and it is exactly like it's always like, today's a great day, the leader's awesome, like, you know, stuff like that. Like yeah, like weird commercials, like sometimes there's like weird beer commercials, like I don't know, it's just bizarre.
And we're not too far off from that. I mean, I know that this is a lot of topical stuff too we're talking about, but the fact is we're not too far off from that and from what happens in this movie, because right now people are being sued, like news organizations are being sued for saying mean things about the president or Elon Musk. So
right. Like you don't have freedom of speech anymore because it's quote unquote defamation. I'm like, defamation's only when it's not true.
Yeah.
Slander is only when it's not true. Like it's
an opinion isn't defamation either, because like if you say I think somebody's a fascist or I think somebody's a Nazi, or even say they're a Nazi, that's your right from freedom of speech, and that may be why I was taken off of Facebook. Anyways, so
yeah. It's sorry. So anyway, this story, they come back home, the airport's empty, there's all the TVs are showing a speech from the president. His name is President Collins, just like your boilerplate right wing, you know, like America's great, you know, blah 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 type of speech. Interesting thing I noticed though is that his tie he's wearing is both red and blue that are kind of like intertwined together. Because usually a Republican president will wear a red tie, and Democrat, it's not always the case. And then like a Democrat will wear a tie.
I've seen both of them wear the opposite color from time to time. When they're in office, usually when they're campaigning, it's not. But like I remember Obama wearing red ties sometimes, you know. So it's
It's so like I thought maybe it could have been a little bit symbolic because like it was like it looked like they were kind of like intertwined with each other, like the fasci, which is where fascism literally comes from. It comes from ancient Roman. Since we're talking about Roman salutes these days, ancient Roman device that was it was basically like an axe that was intertwined, like twined by like basically like, well, I guess twine, I guess you would call it, where it's just like basically it was, I don't know how to phrase it, but basically it was like saying like if everyone's grouped together for like a single cause, you can do stuff with it. So like, you know, the axe won't do much on its own unless it has a handle, and then the handle is made up of the people and blah 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 that base. So basically that's like the origin of fascism comes from this device.
From what I'm reading here, the etymology is the Italian term fascismo is derived from fascisco, meaning a bundle of sticks. Ultimately, from the Latin word fascius. This is a name given to the political organization in Italy known as fasci, a group similar to guilds or syndicates. According to Italian fascist dictator Benito Mussolini's own account, the fasces of revolutionary action were founded in Italy in 1915. In 1919, Mussolini. I said Mulusi. Mussolini founded the Italian Fascist Combat in Milan, which became the National Fascist Party 2 years later. Anyways. So
the tie kind of reminded me of that, like almost it seemed like basically together. Like they're a party, so it's like a uniparty. So it's like he basically like bundled up both the Democrats and the Republicans basically as like its own party. Yeah. He pretty much controls the whole system. That's kind of what I got from it, basically. I don't know if that was an intention, but that's kind of what I got from it. And
I think at least they probably at least had the intention of the fact that the tie is blue with a thin white stripe and red and a thin white stripe and then blue again. So it's like probably just to show the idea that it's red, white, and blue, and also the fact that we don't know who's going to be the fascist. Basically, it could be either party, but most likely it's usually right wing because the fact is, but the further that the Democratic Party goes to the right, it could go that way too. Who knows? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And so like the airport's pretty much empty, like, oh, maybe because it's election day, but then like there's all these people like trying to leave the country, like pounding on like the glass door, like, oh, look, these people like seem like they really want to get out of here. It's like, yeah. And I would think so, and they're like, okay, let's get out of here. And so they go through like the the normal checking process, and the dude is like, he's like, so who's Collins running against? And the guy's like, President Collins. Like, okay. And then it's like, okay, so who is President Collins running against? Like, I haven't asked. And like, okay, you don't even know. He's like, whatever, fine. It's a fake election anyway. So like he He's like, all right, put all of your property onto the cart or whatever. He's like, okay. And then he's like, I said all of your property. He's like, oh, you mean like loose change or metal? And then he like grabs this daughter and wife. He's like, oh, your women are your property, so they need to go on the thing too or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay. And then he's like, he puts a gun on him. He's like, things have changed since you've been gone, Mr. What's his last name?
Gordon.
Mr. Gordon. Like
Yeah.
the guy killed that line. Like, I think that was like, he was like, I'm going to put my entire acting career hinging upon this scene. The way he pulled out that gun and looked at him, I was like, that's Oscar worthy right there. He's like, things have changed since you've been gone, Mr. Gordon. Or America has changed since you've been gone, Mr. Gordon. And so they get home, and then the mother and sister now are dressed like Handmaid's Tale type of outfit, but it's blue or light blue instead. I think they were going for an Afghanistan thing because the burqas were blue in Afghanistan when the Taliban made them wear.
It was that, or it kind of looked like Amish or Mennonite too, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, especially the head. It wasn't really a head scarf; it was like a head hat kind of, sort of. It and so basically, yeah, women have to wear that, and they don't get. So that's what's weird to me. So, all right, I mean, I don't agree with it, but I understand the quote unquote logic of, like, let's say you're a repressive religious dictatorship, and you have like very strong like gender policies for like each gender has to follow like their own set of rules, and then like they don't want women quote unquote showing off their attributes because it'll entice the menfolk or whatever. Again, I don't agree with it, but I understand how their logic of. I don't understand the logic of though of having to wear that and stay inside. Like, what's the why? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why not just be able to wear what you normally would wear if you're already gonna be inside anyway? But I guess it's just another mechanism of controlling people or something, you know, just in case someone comes at the door. Okay, it's inspection, random inspection, and just want to make sure you're wearing those gaudy blue outfits that we got you wearing. And they're like, oh, okay, sorry. The other point I had. So they've been gone for 7 years. Okay. They go into their house immaculate, no cobwebs, no nothing, you know, no dust. Like, who was coming over here to spruce up the place periodically?
Well, while they were gone, President Collins himself came over and cleaned up the place.
See, that's how good of a he gets his hands dirty, literally. He's a right winger, he's fascist, but you know, he at least stays true to his values himself. You know, he's not afraid to get his hands dirty. That's the other thing too. There's like a 0% chance that the government didn't do something with that house for 7 years. I mean, it's just sitting there. Like, why wouldn't they sold it off or? It just see one of the stories very contradictory in a lot of ways because like part of it is
they didn't think these through because like even in a completely I don't know, like a utopian type world, or normal world, if I were to go move to like New Guinea for a few years or something, I might say, and I want to keep I owned a house or something, I'd be like, hey Matt, you want to watch my house for a few years while I'm over here, or something like that, or call my sister or somebody, and be like, hey, keep an eye on it, or I'd sublet it to some other people, something, it's like,
is that it's just fucking weird, man. And it's so like, but like they get home and like he obviously tries to use the phone, the phone's cut off, and then the kid's Todd immediately goes to the TV because of course he's a kid.
Yeah,
he's like, oh, we only got one channel and it's just playing the same speech over and over again, like North Korea would maybe or something like that. And then he's like, oh, the phone's not working. She's like, oh, go over to whoever's house and see if to get a cell phone. He's like, cool, like what are you talking about, dude? Like, you're like, oh, cool, we just live in this weird like society that's giving us like Twilight Zone vibes. I'm just gonna go get a cell phone from a random. That's the other thing too. So like they've been gone for 7 years.
Yeah.
And Todd knocks on the door. Todd looks like all but maybe 12 years old tops.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, is that you, Todd? It's just like, you would not recognize him. The last time you saw this kid, he was 5 years old. Like, it's like, but like, she's acting like that. What?
Not to mention, how does this kid remember exactly where these people live? Like 7 years
That's
later.
The other thing too. Like they act like they've been gone for like a few months, not like 7 months, not 7 years.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, everything's back to usual. And she's like, go back home. You're not supposed to be outside or whatever. That's okay. I'm getting so many. So nobody goes outside in the society, but like you need people to work. So like everyone just stays inside for like what reason? Like,
And at one point, there's like these like SWAT team members or cops or something who are eating like fast food.
yeah.
And standing out there outside of a fast food restaurant. Like, how does this fast food restaurant stay in business? Are they just making food for cops? Like, what are they doing?
Well, that's the thing, because later on they mentioned something about only Collins people can go to the hospital. So I guess if you didn't vote for Collins, you can't use the hospitals, which sounds like something Trump would want to do. And be honest, and I'm like, okay, and then like
He has talked about sanctioning help for natural catastrophes and stuff like fires and hurricanes and what that based on who voted for him in these counties and stuff, and for the government to do what he wants locally. So yeah,
it's I don't understand it, and it's so she's like gets him to go home. He's like, okay, just go home, and it's not safe for you. So then he tries to go home. Yeah, the burger dudes, they try to chase him down. He ends up dodging. And by the way, there's like this car chase scene where like the car is like a foot behind him. It looks like they're about to run him over, and then like suddenly they're like behind him further, and then they're close up again. Then they're behind him, and then he just like goes through an alleyway. And like,
there's no world where that car wouldn't have just hit him.
no, it would have just killed him. Like totally just ran him off his bike, and he dies from like impact to the road. And then this piece of shit collaborator car salesman tells them where the kid went to. It's like, yeah, well, I'm glad you sold your soul for your shitty ass used car lot. I hope you're really proud of yourself, worthless life and history piece of shit. And so, like, the cops, he's like, you just made the worst mistake of your life, boy. Like, okay. And then, so like, so sorry, there's so many things going on that are ridiculous. So the woman that they went to talk to, she's got her own wireless laptop, which is probably one of the first ones they've ever had, 1997.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, Collins shut down the internet as one of the first things he did. Like, okay, well, how is she able to? Oh, well, he hasn't shut down wireless internet yet. So you could go on to like a different server and just find out what's going on. I'm like, that seemed like a pretty big oversight for a dictatorship. Like, oh, well, you know.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, even 1997, yeah, I'm pretty sure they could do something like they could shut down wireless and,
definitely.
and know that you're trying to go on like an invalid, illegal server to get information. I mean, God, even people sometimes we use the quote unquote dark web, which is supposed to be quote secret.
Yeah.
Some of those people get caught, so it's not like it's a guaranteed thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're buying drugs off like that Silk Road website, there's no guarantee that you're gonna get your drugs instead of like the FBI at your house or something. Like
that's okay though, because the guy that ran that website got pardoned by Trump.
Did?
Yeah, the creator
Oh
of the Silk Road.
Wow.
Got pardoned by Trump.
Well, he's libertarian, so I guess that literally he's libertarian, and
and so
the guy is probably
it's like he gets pardoned, but the guy down the street who sold a dime bag of marijuana to somebody probably spends years in jail. So whatever.
It totally makes sense, I guess. Not really.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so there's this line though that's I'm like jumping ahead. Sorry, I'm not very linear today about it. So there's this scene where Todd gets picked up by the burger police, and then they
Burger
take the burger police. And so earlier.
Those are the people that always arrested the Hamburglar. It's the burger police.
That's what it was. And so Mr. Gordon, I forgot what his name is. He sees all these kids being put on a bus coming from the school, and so he knows that's where they're taking them. So they're taking them to the school or whatever, and then he's looking for them. There's the bus driver is like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" Or whatever. He goes, "Have you seen this a good-looking athletic boy, 12-year-old?" That's like, wait, what? Like that seems like a trick question, because it's like if you say no, you're lying to him, but if you say yes, then you're like admitting that quote he's a good-looking 12-year-old athletic boy. It's like,
plus that really narrows it down. Like, oh, he's a good-looking kid. Yeah.
Because every single person in there is 12 years old. That's when they start shipping out the boys to military. Like
Yeah.
every single one is athletic and 12 years old. That's the point. Like, because they want. And so, like, this is what's really fucked up, though. Like, whoever wrote the script, I think, was like sadistic in a lot of ways because the guy's like, of course, like the guy slips him like $50 and he's like, oh, I can now just tell you like all of the workings of my job because you gave me $50. Okay. And then he's like, oh, well, we take him. I mean, seriously, like, what? And like, he's like, oh, okay, well, now that you gave me like $50 whole dollars, which is like not even like a minimum wage day's wages, even in 1997. Yeah, I'll just go tell you exactly where we're going to take all these kids. He's like, well, somebody's got to go fight those broads. He's like, broads. He's like, don't you know about half the rebels are women? It works though. He's like, wait, that's barbaric. It's like, yeah, it works though because women don't kill kids. So it's like, okay, so you're like playing psychological warfare on both young boys and grown women, pitting them literally against each other. The boys probably don't want to shoot the women. The women don't want to shoot the boys. We're like, oh my God, this is like sadistic. Like,
and to say that there's never been a time where a woman shot a child or vice versa.
it's not. I mean, I'm sorry, but
No.
like when it comes to like warfare, it is what it is. I mean, like,
there are plenty of women in the IOF that have probably shot a Palestinian child. So yeah.
Oh, of course. That's like Tuesday morning for them. But yeah, like but like even like when it comes to like a just cause, not the idea, but like an actual just cause. Like for example, let's take a look at the Hitler Youth. Now you can make the argument if these children were innocent, they got taken there when they were maybe 10, 12 years old, and then they got brainwashed. But when it comes to warfare, a 15-year-old, 16-year-old boy is going to threaten and trying to kill your own family. I don't care. Like, I mean, I do, but I don't care. I mean, I care, but I don't care as much about protecting my family. So if there's going to have to be a choice between the two, it's going to be kill or be killed, unfortunately. Not that I want it to happen, but that's when they make that. Yeah,
I would never want to kill anybody, regardless of age or race or beliefs or anything. So it's like, so
no, I'm not saying you want to, but I just say like if you're in that situation where
but in that situation, you, if you're protecting yourself or your family, then maybe you will, or maybe you won't.
Who knows,
so
maybe you will. That's the other thing too. Maybe you'll try to talk the person down. Who knows? But unfortunately, though, when you start off really young in those training camps, they really almost guaranteed to brainwash you just because your mind is not fully developed yet at that age. So there's like a 1% chance that you're gonna get out of that and like not actually buy into the philosophy that they're teaching you, or the ideology they're teaching you. So that's why. So he's like, have you seen this good looking 12-year-old boy? It's like, no, I haven't. I don't know. That's a weird question.
I was just looking at some pictures from the thing, and I forgot that at the airport, that place where they were all trying to get in, it literally has a sign above it that says deportation lounge.
Oh my, it's lounge. You want to lounge out for a little bit before you get deported.
Yes.
And at one point, so there's like, apparently they already learned of like a so-called resistance that for some reason are all happy on college campuses. I don't understand why that. Okay. Like why, like, they got like Chapel Hall or university completely taken over in rebel hands. I'm like, it's a university. It's not a city. It's one area within a town. Like, what?
I wish I could remember the name of this comedian, but I was scrolling through TikTok earlier today and came across this guy. He was talking about how so when he never went to college, and he says when he used to hang out with his friends at the university is like the last time he was in a fist fight because he just felt so stupid compared to these people in college. And he says that kind of explains why every time a cop goes to a college campus, they start beating kids.
Wow.
Because they're dumb.
Yeah, well, no, there actually is a IQ quota.
Yeah,
in both police departments where I'm not even like making this up. Like it's a real thing where like if your IQ goes above a certain percent, like the less likely they actually want you to join the force because they're worried that you'll start questioning orders too much. So like they don't want you super low IQ. They don't want you to the point where like you're going to accidentally shoot your foot off or whatever. Like, but they want you like in that like sweet zone where you're competent enough to do it, but you're not really going to question orders too much. So they don't actually want you. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of when I so when I was in film school, and I applied to work at a movie theater. They told me I was overqualified and that I couldn't work there because I know too much about movies.
Right. Well, because they don't want you like, what do you say? That movie sucks, actually. You can see this one instead,
Either that
like,
or
the
fact that one of the benefits was being able to see as many movies as you wanted, and they probably were afraid I was just going to watch movies all day or something. Yeah, so like, what the hell?
Well, yeah, on your time off, sure, but like,
It's still
your days off, why not? Who gives a shit? I mean, if that's one of the perks of having a job, then why not use it?
Why then? Right after that, I ended up working at Blockbuster Video, and one of the benefits I had there was free rentals, and that's just as good.
Right. No, exactly. I'm still pissed off at that Blockbuster though that sold me an empty case of Gandhi DVD. Yeah. I never got my money back from it. They literally sent a Gandhi, and I went and opened it. The thing, it was sealed too. That's the thing, it was sealed.
Yeah.
Then I opened it, and there was no disc in it. So it's like,
sometimes,
like, God damn it.
Probably a factory error, or sometimes people will like be able to slice them so thinly that you can't tell, and it still looks like it's sealed, and they can pop the discs out. I witnessed I caught somebody doing that once at a. I think that was at it was at a Blockbuster when I was working there. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's so like, I don't know, just like so much. I mean, this movie itself is only like 20 minutes long, so it's like everything's going on in such like a fast pace, which kind of made it even more like disturbing. And then there's this like one scene where the girl, what's her name? Daughter, I forgot her name.
Daughter's name is Margie.
Margie steps up on a car and like delivers like what she thinks is like the most revolutionary speech of all time. And like, it's like, you need to fight. And you're like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
And she's
so
saying,
this girl.
Just talking about how during the revolution people are saying live free or die, and stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah.
And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so what? She's the first person that you've heard like make like a rebellious speech. Like, how many years? I mean, they already talk about first term, so I'm thinking he's already been in office for like at least 3 years at this point.
Yeah.
No one at the time thought like, oh man, nobody told me how crazy and terrible this stuff was, but this girl just showed up in my neighborhood yesterday.
They were having their the elections that day where he had to go to the election to the polling place or something. It said it was something really generic like that.
It was literally just called polling, and I think voting was mandatory as well.
Yeah.
And it was not anonymous. You literally had to walk up, and then like there's like a guard with a machine gun, and it says like yes, and then there's like a bucket that says no, because everyone's afraid to vote no because it's literally a guy with a machine gun watching you as you vote.
And the thing you put it in is completely clear glass, so it's like
it's like you can see. Yeah. It's so, which kind of reminds me of Russia though, because that's when Russia annexed Crimea in 2014. The people who did not want to secede into Russia, the people who want to stay part of Ukraine, were saying that Russian guards with machine guns were just like at the voting polling stations, and they were asking people what their names were when they went in to the voting area, and then when they went out, they're asking them if they voted against secession or not. And so it's like, that's not a fair voting practice. It's like
there was
a fair and free.
There was literally stuff like that going on during this latest presidential election too in the United States, in some smaller cities, towns where people were just standing outside with machine guns. Yeah.
The Freedom Party. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh God.
In the Twilight Zone world where up is down, left is right, truth is falsehood, freedom is slavery. In that world, the Republican is the party of freedom. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. The freedom of speech party, where you can't criticize anybody that you don't agree with.
Exactly. That's what freedom means. So you understand. Come on, freedom is whatever you interpret it as being. So that's what reminds me. So like religious fundamentalists, like,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I have to say, from what I've always been taught, that freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose.
Pretty much. I mean, like, what else?
I mean, the poor Janis Joplin. So
I mean, the great Janis Joplin, of course. I mean,
yeah,
great singer.
I don't even think she wrote that song, but still she sang it, so I'm gonna quote her.
But so there's this religious people like more like in the more fundamentalist, like deep religious people, that they'll have this concept. Well, they'll just change the meanings of words to mean the exact opposite of what they actually mean, and then they go, well, this is the true definition of what this word is. So like what you hear a lot, especially from like the more Christian evangelical right wing, they'll say stuff like, well, freedom is more like the freedom from sin, the freedom from, the freedom from materialism. So it's like freedom from doing bad things is freedom. So it's like they changed the word freedom to mean like actually, so if actually control actually is freedom, because when people are controlling you, it makes you not do those terrible things. So then you're freed. Your soul is free from doing the bad things. Like, but that's not what freedom means. Like, it's just completely opposite interpretation of. But so like they'll do stuff like that. Like especially the more like conservative religious folks, they'll switch.
Even like conservative media does that, where they co-opt words like woke or DEI to mean things that they don't really mean. So yeah, to make a word like woke, which just meant being awake to the injustices in the world, especially the injustices towards Black people. And all of a sudden now it's just become a catch-all to be like, oh, that's just woke. That's like something that, it's like, oh, it's all gay people and trans people and African Americans all over the place and stuff. Yeah, that's not what it means.
Like back in the day, like when YouTube just pretty much like let any and everything on its platform, especially like conspiracy theories. Like there was a time like from like 2009 to like 2015 where it's like, if you're like, oh, I want to watch a Holocaust denial documentary, you just load it up and just find like a conspiracy theory channel. And like a lot of them though had their names of their channels was like awakened, like, we're waking up to like the conspiracy, bro. Like, and so it's like they said those words way before nowadays when they're, well, not in the way, because like you said, the Black woke used to mean like, you're waking up to like what's really going on, what the man's doing, stuff. Like it was, now it means like, oh, anyone who believes like in the liberal culture is quote unquote woke, and what but they always mean by that is like, oh, there's a Black main character in a movie. I don't like that, so that's woke.
I mean, it's basically the I just looked it up online, and it's just like saying the term woke originated in African American English, referring to awareness of social and political issues affecting Black Americans, particularly around racial injustice. It gained broader usage in the 2010s, especially during movements like the Black Lives Matter movement. Yeah. And then it was co-opted in various political contexts, offering with differing interpretations. So, yeah.
Right. And then there was a TV show from the guy was in The New Girl. It was called Woke, and it was about that too, racial issues. Like, and so even back then, what's that? Yeah.
Lamorne Morris, it's the actor. Yeah.
And so even back then, that wasn't that long ago. It was like 2019 or something when that show came out.
It was a pretty good show.
And even then, it is a good show, but even then, woke wasn't then repurposed to mean like anything that's liberal or what I think is progressive is woke and therefore bad. So like we've only been hearing woke for like, I don't know, maybe 3-4 years at this point.
Woke is the new woke, and DEI are the new politically correct. Like people, that's politically correct is like was the boogie word back in the 90s and stuff, like where it was like, oh, this is also politically correct. And, there's words like that before that even too, it's just, I don't know them off the top of my head, but I remember when everything was like, oh, and then, you even had Bill Maher with his politically incorrect TV show, stuff like that, where it was like a spin on it. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I hate that guy, Bill Maher. I mean, I used to like him back when I was young and didn't know any better. Which, should show you, like, when you're 15 or 16 years old, you're like, oh, I love this guy. Exactly, because you're 15 years old. Anyway, but, like, it's interesting, because even, like, you brought up the politically correct thing. So that phrase also has this origin in, like, right-wing politics. I think from, like, Nazi Germany or fascist Italy, where politically correct meant, like, your views are, like, you have to, like, basically, like, to be politically correct, you have to, like, switch over some views that the government thinks is incorrect, and then you have to basically convert over and be, quote, politically correct. And nothing to do with like, if anything, it was the opposite of tolerance, because they're saying, no, like, you have some views here that we've reviewed and we don't like it. You need to like catch up to speed, and then, quote, you'll be politically correct. But of course, just like with the right wing, they always reverse meanings. But in this case, they reversed their own word meaning to be the opposite of what it.
Like I'm looking it up here, and it says like it used to mean in the early to mid 20th century, the phrase politically correct was used to describe strict adherence to a range of ideological orthodoxies within politics. In 1934, the New York Times reported that Nazi Germany was granting reporting permits only to pure Aryans whose opinions are politically correct.
Hmm?
Kind of sounds like what's going on currently in the media when you have certain opposing opinions being kicked out of the White House press pool and not being able to go to, but they're making room for podcasters. Not that there's anything against podcasters, because you know what? I love podcasters, especially the hosts of All2 Real 2. But
we're podcasters technically. I mean, I never really identified as a podcaster, but technically speaking, we've been doing this for 7 years. So it's like,
or longer. So yeah.
Close to 7. Yeah. Well, close to, yeah.
So no, I think we started in 2018. So
well, yeah, that'd be 7 years ago.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, so it has been that long. Wow. Yeah, so
crazy. I know, man.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting that they're opening it up to people that just agree with the Fuhrer. Yeah. Yes.
The Daddy Trump, the dear leader, the orange Julius Caesar. There you go. I like that. I'm going to use that for something. Like a band name or a song title. It's happening.
We should make a t-shirt. Maybe I'll make one later. Orange Julius Caesar. Yes, I will.
Also do it.
I'll do it.
So do also a condoms for Hamas one too.
Yeah. Look on our TeePublic, and we might have some new shirts by the time this episode comes out, if we're allowed to still sell things by then.
Yeah. We have so many good T-shirts that Mike and I have either come up with on our own each or on our own. So, like for example, we covered both Buttercream Gang movies. The first one, well, the second one we recorded way back in 2018, and then the first one we recorded sometime last year. And we had a T-shirt called Buttercream Gangs of New York.
Yes,
so that's a good one. I like that one a lot. So you should try out that one. That one's like a very good pun. But anyway, back to this piece of shit movie, which wasn't really that great, to be honest. What else happens? Because I've been jumping all over the place.
So basically, by the end, okay, they end up he ends up getting his son out of this place for a minute, and then eventually they all get separated somehow, and there's like this big uprising. But he tells somebody that he wants to leave and he wants to take his family with him, and then they were gonna agree to take his family with him, but they said, we'll reunite you with your son. But they bring the son there, and they said, well, we're going to take him down to Miami, where we're going to have to take one of his lungs as a transplant for, was it the son of the president or something like that?
No, it was like a
donor,
like a big time ally, like a rich ally, the president.
Yeah, so there's that.
Mm-hmm. And like, how would they know that he was a match? That's a weird, like, he's been in their possession for like 15 minutes, like at this point.
Maybe they did a blood test or something. I don't know how that works.
Oh no, that reminds me, because when they're making the quote unquote good looking 12-year-old boys take their shirts off in the locker room, their words, not mine, and they were like making them do like hey, they're the ones that made the movie. The line, me repeating the lines, that's not my fault. It's whoever wrote the script. That's not. I mean, it's so like they were making them do like the breath, because you could hear them breathing. So I wonder if they were checking the boys for their like lung capacity. Yeah. Maybe he was like the best one or something. I don't know. And then maybe I'm reading too much into it. I don't know. And then they're like, hey, by the way, too. So like the guy who was like interrogating them, he was like this incel character who was like, you're like, how could you work for something like this? And you're like, oh, this is all right. We're gonna get the origin story. We're gonna get the lore of the guy. And he's like, it's gonna be some big man. He's gonna be like, oh man, my life was terrible. That's why I turned to fascism. Like, he's like, yeah, you know what I did before this? I used to park cars at a fancy restaurant, and women, particularly women, he said. So that's interesting. Yeah. Focus a single on women. They would go and buy like hundreds of dollars fancy meals, and then they would tip me a quarter. So am I nostalgic? I was like, oh, that's the big villain origin story. Like, that's kind of lackluster. I was like expecting something big, like the liberals used to beat the shit out of me, and that's why I became right wing or whatever.
The thing is, though, stuff like that is how people go down those hills. Like a girl will break up with somebody, and then all of a sudden they're a Proud Boy. It's like,
it is, but this guy was a grown-ass man already by that point, so it's even more pathetic. The guy was like probably like 40, and he's like, oh, these women only tip me a quarter.
That probably happens. I mean, you just look at the world where people that have never met a trans person blame trans people for all their issues, or have never met an immigrant and they blame immigrants for all their issues that we currently live in. So it's, and they're so strong in their beliefs. It happens. So yeah.
No, you're correct. Speaking of which, but Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian, they got our backs, man. They're like, don't worry, it's not going to be that bad. You're an alarmist if you say Trump's going to do all these horrible things, and then Francesca Fiorentini, you're a bad person for scaring people. Yeah. Sorry, Fiorentini, I can never pronounce the name.
Fiorentini.
There you go. You're Francesca Fiorentini. You're a terrible person for like alarming people. Your rhetoric is scaring them. You're making them too afraid of what Trump's going to do. He's not going to do much bad stuff or is as bad. You need to shut up because you're scaring the people. Not Trump and Elon, the right-wing politicians who actually are doing the things. They're not scaring people. It's you talking about them. That's what's scaring the people. So what I'm actually saying is don't talk about that. Let the people live in ignorance and then they won't be scared. What? And then like recently, a trans woman was denied travel because they wouldn't give her a passport. And they're like, oh, well, just let them use their male name. And like, she's like, I did. It's like, I stopped fighting them. It's like, well, technically I am legally transitioned, like legally into female. Like, I'm not just saying I'm a woman and therefore you have to like put that on my passport. Like legally speaking, that is allowed to be on my passport, or not allowed, should be, because then it will screw anything up. And like, well, no, just use the male name. It's like, fine, whatever. And then they wouldn't even let her do that. And so it's like, but no, we're alarmist, Mike. We're not allowed. We're being too, Trump's not going to be that bad. We're the bad guys for talking about it. And, chunk yogurt and Anna Asparagus, these piece of shit motherfuckers and the Young Turks are going around laundering, Trump's reputation. Like, even in 2016, they had a complete meltdown when Trump was elected, and like the right wing actually like had saved that meltdown. It would constantly reference it, would constantly, every single year, they would play a clip from that video, like, haha, here's our yearly tradition where we watched Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian melt down when Trump was elected. Haha, triggered you liberals. And now they're like, Trump, the God King, is awesome. He's great. Immigrants are bad. Gang members are taking over apartment complexes. I hate homeless people. They're the ones that started the wildfires in Los Angeles because their crack pipes are what started the fires. Hail Trump. So you can tell I don't like those guys.
That was a beautiful diatribe.
Sorry, it's a true diatribe.
I know it is.
Tell me anything. No, I know, but like, let me know if there was anything I exaggerated. Maybe the hail Trump part. That's probably the only exaggeration. Everything else they have said in the past few months. Homeless people are the ones that cause the fires because they're drugs. That's the other thing too. They're like, so which is it, Anna? Homeless encampments that live underneath bridges that, are an eyesore for you. You don't like seeing them. So you're like, oh, that ruins my day seeing all these homeless people who are like having the most miserable time of their lives. Me watching them for 2 seconds in the highway is what ruins my day. And that's all that's most important in my life, is whether I'm comfortable or not. The people who actually have to live there all day, I don't give a shit about them. Just take them away from me, out of sight, out of mind type of situation. So people under a bridge smoking crack is what's starting wildfires? Is there like a bush on the bridge that somehow is what caused the whole state of California to burn?
Yeah,
some guy or the crack pot? I mean, what are you talking about? Like, how would they even be able to start a wildfire?
The thing is, people just want to find somebody to blame for these things, where they don't want to actually blame the things that are really causing these issues, like environmental issues or governmental issues or organizational issues that are basically what are causing these things. You'd rather just blame the guy you find freaky down the street or something, or whatever it is, whatever the other is. You blame things on trans people, you blame things on homeless people, you blame things on immigrants, you blame things on gay people, you blame things on black people, you blame things on Jews, whatever it is, it just goes on and on, it's just the way it is.
It reminds me too, when I noticed this. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, it's basically like in this movie too, we have the fact that they're blaming women for everything. So it's the cyclical thing where you just got to create an enemy and blame them. I mean, it's just sad how society is like that. Like, we can't live in a society where we can just view everybody equally. We have to blame somebody else for our problems. We can't ever take, responsibility for our own actions or anything.
Yeah, it's like a universal trait. So fucking annoying, you know? And that reminded me too, when I know it's random, but I was like 14, 15. I was talking this girl online who was like an internet friend of like an actual girl I knew like in junior high.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, talk to her. You know, she's funny. You might get along, whatever." So, we started chatting on AOL back in AOL days, American Online. It's how old I am. And so we're talking, and she said, she lives in the San Francisco area. And then turns out that she was homophobic. I didn't know that at the time, but that she was talking the story where her and her friend, who are also like my age, like around 14, 15 at the time, they would go to this guy's house and like basically like harass him, like bully him and stuff like that. And like again, this guy's like a grown-ass man, like in his 30s. They're like 14, 15 years old. And so one day they went pounding on his door real hard, like make him think like, something was, bad or whatever. And then so he was like in his towel because he was just out of the shower. And then like once he noticed it was like, two teenage girls watching him, he went and hid, like by the door. And they were like peeking through the window and like laughing at him. And I'm like, why? He's like, "Oh, because he's such a pervert. He was naked." I'm like, you just literally said in your own account, not my account, you're telling of the story, which means you undercut your own argument from your own telling of said story, that he was in the towel because he got out of the shower. He heard a loud pounding, so he went to answer the door. And then when he noticed you two girls as minors, he hid so you wouldn't see him. How is he the pervert? Your own telling contradicts your story. Like, but this is how these people are. Like, even their own words, they like betray their own ignorance and lies, and they have no idea, or like they don't, at least in their minds, they don't even think that they've told a lie or that they got away with it because they're stupid. And they don't. And like, I stopped talking to her obviously after that. I'm like, like, you sound like a horrible person, like. But yeah, that was back in the late 90s though, so there's people out there doing shit like that,
Yeah,
and,
I mean, it's historical. It's just how, how World War II happened and how it's going to happen again. And,
exactly.
Yeah.
We just got too many guys parking cars for rich women who only tipped them a quarter. And so they're going to be like the new vanguard of the, the American fascist party. And so, yay. Anyway, sorry. I covered it all.
America, land that I love.
Oh, by the way, the part of the speech that the Collins guy had that was always on repeat, he said something like total Trumpian like language. He's like, "This is the men have stood up and took what they earned, and the women have stood down and have done their duty," or something along those lines. And it's like, yep. No.
Yeah, it's I had it up a minute ago, like the actual speech. I found it somewhere, but no,
it's all right.
I lost. But yeah, it was creepy. It was definitely very symbolic of, and makes sense of what's happening now. So good times are ahead for us, folks. Anything else you want to say about this?
Well, yeah, just a really quick thing. The actor who played President Collins, I think, did a really good job. I mean, like very ominous, not forceful, but not like the Trump way. It was more of like a sinister quietness to him. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and I don't know who that actor was because
I've seen him in something. I don't know what, but I've seen him in something.
He's not listed on IMDb's cast list. So
maybe I saw him in this. Maybe I did see this a long time ago and I forgot about it.
This is something that was shown in schools, I guess. Like, and people to this day, it's still shown. I was looking at the comments on the YouTube video of this, that it's still shown in like in history and civics classes and stuff across the country. So
interesting. Maybe I did watch it. I kind of forgot. But yeah, there is one more thing though I wanted to mention. So there's several occasions where Marjorie, is her name Margie?
Yeah.
Or Margie. So not Marjorie Taylor Greene. Good. Margie, she's like sitting there openly talking about how she's gonna join the resistance like 2 feet away from like a guard, like on 2 separate occasions. Like, I'm gonna join the rebels. I'm like, oh, good. Just tell them your exact location and the time of the meetings and who's at the meetings and what. I mean, really? Like, you're just flat out. But the guards do nothing. They're like, so I guess you could bank on the guards not being good enough at their own job or not caring enough.
Well,
So
they're
it's
dumb.
like they're like they are dumb. You're like, yeah, just I know I heard something, but I'm too lazy to like actually file a report. So I'm just gonna like let that slide. Like, okay, I don't want to file the paperwork on this dumb girl who just showed up like 7 years after. That's the other thing too. She's all but 14, 13, which means she was about 5 or 6 years old when
Yeah.
they first left. Todd was about 5 years old, and she's like, I was born in this country. I love what it means to be America. It's like, dude, you've been American for like first 5 years of your life. You don't even start retaining memory until you're like 3 years old. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah, I mean, and plus, I think it could be that they didn't really care because she's a woman, so they didn't think she,
oh, that's true. Yeah.
would be powerful enough to do anything. So, who knows?
Weird
yeah.
movie.
Or it's
Very
or
strange.
it's just lazy writing or direction. So,
Or they can only do so much for 20 minutes. I mean, that's the thing.
yeah,
You know,
that's
it's
insane.
a
It's
it's a TV show episode, but they're
Yeah.
trying to make a whole movie fit into that. It's hard, you know.
yeah.
Ugh.
And the thing is, so the thing is you don't know what happened either at the end. There's like, it's an ambiguous ending. So, they say that they can take the kid to they can like let them all, be deported if they go to Miami and give the kid's lung to this other kid. So,
This asshole kid who got in a car accident probably doing something stupid.
but you don't
Yeah.
you don't know what their choice ended up being, which was kind of interesting. I kind of like it when people don't give you the answer, but still.
Right. It's so like, I guess I did have one more point a little bit. So like the second half of the movie, it's them like telling like real life stories of people who like were persecuted and were able to, that there's a few stories. One that stood out to me the most because it related the most to this particular movie. It was this woman that was from Bulgaria in the 1940s and 50s. Bulgaria at that time was a quote unquote communist dictatorship. I put communist in quotation because realistically it was Soviet Union satellite state that nominally had its own governance, but in reality was pretty much just did whatever the Soviet Union told it to do. So, and they were, like she was like, she thought like the rest of the world was just like her country. Again, we're not allowed to leave. A lot of, again, Soviet Union, Bulgaria, Romania at that time, North Korea, all of these countries, Nazi Germany, fascist Italy, all of these. That's the scary part. So like when a country starts making it so you can't leave, that's the time you really want to leave because then you're gonna be stuck there. I'm probably gonna be stuck here, and I don't have no choice. But like, it's so she grew up with that, and then one day she had a substitute teacher who had just come back from America, which I'm not even sure why they sent him to America in the first place. I don't know if the government was having the guy do propaganda for Bulgaria, but then instead he got converted to American propaganda, then came back, and then so he had this postcard that he gave to all the students about Abraham Lincoln's memorial. And he was saying that, Abraham Lincoln's like, a really important figure in American, maybe not anymore, because now a lot of people don't like him because anyway, well, I mean, that was always the case. There was a lot of people who hated them because he ended slavery. That's just always been the contingency of our countrymen, so to speak. And he's like, yeah, he ended slavery. And then she was like, well, wait a minute. Like our last teacher said that like America still has slavery. I mean, I guess technically we do when it comes to prisons, but that's not what he meant.
But
he probably meant like actual slavery. Like, so she's like, well, that's interesting. The new teacher says that he ended slavery. And then the very next day they're like, we arrested and probably killed your substitute teacher. So we want those postcards back, by the way, but she like hid hers, so like,
nice.
And then so finally, her and her parents were able to escape to France using forged documents. And then when she was 19, she got to come to America and study at the Brigham Young University, which is Mormon, fine, whatever. At least it's in America, like, and so like the only reason the other stories are good too, but this one seem to relate more particularly to this story about like a severely autocratic society, led by like one guy, one party, where information is pretty much just decided upon the powers that be of what they're going to reveal and not reveal. And so just like in Bulgaria, Romania, all those countries too, it's very closed societies. You pretty much could not learn what was going on in the outside world at all, let alone what's going on inside your own country as well. And so yeah, interesting. They actually showed a real story of a real person. There's thousands of people like this. She's not the only one. There's millions of people who came from these countries, and they might some of them might be exaggerating here and there because they want to like get funding from like right-wing people to be like, oh, here's the Muslim to say how bad Muslims are. Here's a Jew to say how bad Jews are, whatever. But like not all of them are lying. You know what I mean? So like, when you get a million people saying the same story, I doubt they all like got their story straight. Like, okay, we're all gonna say the same thing so that the people think that we're telling the truth or whatever. Like, no, like it's because what they're saying like actually did happen, So anyway, that's all I gotta say about that. This kind of went on for a long time.
This is kind of worth watching. I mean, to a point, but it's really scary and depressing. Don't watch it on a day where you're really sad and upset at Facebook.
Yeah, don't do it like when you're like sad, like if you've had a few drinks, probably not the best thing you want to watch, or like
or like I said, or if you're me and both your Facebook accounts were disabled by Facebook for some unknown reasons, makes everything hit a little harder. Anyways, that's all I got to say about this. So folks, as always, check out all2real2.com. There's lots of links there to all of our stuff, our TeePublic and our Patreon. Good ways to support our show. Share the show wherever you can, even including Facebook. And follow us on Blue Sky. Follow me, I should say. It's only me. The account's listed as my name right now because I changed it to my name so people could find me. So, it's under Likely Cullen II. Follow me on Blue Sky. It's the best way to get in contact with me besides Mike at cullenpark.com. Also, folks, just fight fascism anywhere you can, if this movie taught us anything. So just remember that I love you. Sesame loves you.
I do.
Free Palestine. Trans lives are human lives. Black lives matter.
Yeah.
Fuck the Christo-fascist patriarchy. And until next time, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All2 Real 2 podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.